Hello, math makers. Thank you for joining me again for part 4 of our series on solving subtraction word problems using the cubes method. If you've gone through all 4 of these now, you're making math a whole lot easier, and I hope you can see that you're understanding this a little bit better. The reason I'm doing so many of these is because it's brand new for us, and we need to practice, just like with anything that's brand new. If you're learning how to ride a bike, you need lots of practice so you don't fall down. So we're going to get lots of practice so we don't fall down. So as we're getting started, of course, we're doing subtraction word problems, and we're using the cubes method. Now we need to know what cubes stands for. In cubes, each letter stands for something different. C, and you could probably do these with me by now, stands for circle the numbers. U, underline the question. B, box the keywords. E, eliminate extra information. Eliminate means to get rid of. And S, solve and check your work. And of course, since we're doing subtraction, there's some terms I want us to make sure that we know. This will help us understand subtraction questions because sometimes you'll see this language in there, and I don't want you to be fooled by it. So when you're solving a subtraction problem, you have the minuend, subtrahend, and difference. The minuend is the number you're taking something away from. It's in elementary school, it's usually the larger number, and it's the number that you're taking stuff away from. It's what you started with. The subtrahend is the number you're subtracting. It's the number you're taking away. And last is the difference. And the difference is the answer to a subtraction question. It's the difference between these two numbers. That's what makes it the answer. And when you get all these together, you have an equation. Now, one of the things to do with cubes is to find the keywords. And we need to know what those keywords are in subtraction word problems. If you know what these are, and you read a word problem, you'll know exactly what you need to do. They're like secret passwords to know how to solve a question. So let's go through these. Read them with me. By now you probably can. Difference, less than, take away, minus, fewer, leftover, have left, sometimes just left, remain, minus, how many more. Now, these aren't the only keywords that people use, but these are the ones that are used the most frequently. So I want to make sure that we know those because that's going to help us know how to solve word problems. So, just like before, we're going to do 3 word problems today. The first one, we're just going to do cubes, C-U-B-E. And then the last, we're going to do the whole cubes. The reason I do one with just C-U-B-E is because I want us to be used to finding those things. If we're used to finding them, it makes the S a whole lot easier. So let's get started. On this one, we're just going to do cube. And let's read this together. Kalia went to a garden. She picked 26 flowers. She gave 12 of them to her family. That's so nice, Kalia. How many flowers does Kalia have left? So again, go into cubes. The first letter in cubes is C, and C stands for circle the numbers. Look in the word problem and see, do you see any numbers? 26 and 12, that's correct. Next we're going to go to U, and what does U stand for? Underline the question. Do you see the question in there? Again, we look for that question mark. I told some students yesterday, we take that question mark and we go backwards, and we can draw our line that way, and we stop when we get to a period, and I see a period there, so that means we'd stop right there at that word, which means our question would be, how many flowers does Kalia have left? So we've done C, we've done U. Next is time for B. B stands for box the keywords. Do you see any keywords in that question? What are they? Have left. That is correct. And have left means that you have to do what? Subtract. Now this is great so far. We know what the numbers, we know what we're being asked to do, and we know it's subtraction. So we're already on a good path. Next, we have to eliminate any extra information. Is there anything in the word problem that we don't necessarily need to know. Kalia went to a garden. Really doesn't matter where she got the flowers, although it was nice of her to get some. So we're going to take away that because it really doesn't help us solve our word problem. And then, oh, that was just a practice as well. So we're not going to solve that one, but we will solve this next one. So it looks like we just had a couple of practices. So let's go ahead and get started with our next one. Christian reads comic books. He got 47 for his birthday. He's read 35 of the comic books since his birthday. He obviously loves to read. How many comic books does Christian have left to read? So again, let's go to cubes. The C stands for, circle the numbers. That's right. Look in the word problem. Do you see any numbers? 47 and 35. That's right. Next, we're going to go to U. U stands for, underline the question. Do you see a question in here? Do you remember what I showed you last time? Find the question mark. Draw your line backwards. Stop at the last word before a period, which would be the word how, because here's a period. So we're going to underline all of that, and we find our question. How many comic books does Christian have left to read? Next, we're going to B. What is B? Box the keywords. What are the keywords? Have left. That's correct. And have left, when you see have left, that means what are you supposed to do? Add or subtract? Subtract. That's right. Next, we're going to eliminate any extra information. Do you see any extra information here? Yeah, Christian reads comic books. I'm glad he likes to read, though. But that doesn't help us solve the problem. So next we can go to solve the equation. Now, we know our numbers are 47 and 35. We know what it's asking us to do. We know it's asking us to subtract. So what is our equation going to be? Which one of these numbers is going to be the menu end? Which one's going to be the subtrahend? 47 minus 35. He had 45 and he had 47 and he read 35. So 47 becomes our menu end. 35 becomes our subtrahend. Now, just like with all the other subtraction questions, we're going to do break apart method. If I break apart 35, what do I get? 30 and 5. That's right. So then we're going to subtract. What do I subtract? 47 minus 30. That's right. That's the first one. We're taking away our tens. There's 3 tens in 30. That means there's 3 jumps. So we go from 47 to 37 to... Did you get 17? I hope so. We've subtracted our 30. Now it's time to subtract our what? 5. So now we're going to start where we left off. We left off at 17. So now we're going to subtract 17 minus 5. Again, we can just count backwards 5 times. 16, 15. 12. So have we subtracted our 30? Yes. Have we subtracted our 5? Yes. And we had 12 for our last answer, which means that 47 minus 35 is 12. So Christian has 12 comic books left to read. All right, let's do one more. Next, we're going to read about Harmony. Harmony has 24 red flowers. She needs to have 55 flowers. How many more flowers does Harmony need to have all the flowers she needs? So again, we're going to do C. C stands for, circle the numbers. What are the two numbers in this question? 24 and 55. That's correct. Next we have U. What does U stand for? Underline the question. Now again, if we're using that same method where we start with a question mark and we go backwards, this is a long question, but I don't see any periods, so I have to keep going. Again, I see another how, so that must be an asking word. How many more flowers does Harmony need to have all the flowers she needs? So we've done C, we've done U. It's time to do B. And B stands for box the keywords. Do you see any keywords? It's not have left this time, is it? How many more? That was on our list. How many more? And if you see how many more, that means to do what? Subtract. That's right. So we're on good track. We have our numbers, we know we subtract, and we know what we're being asked to solve. Next, we're going to eliminate any extra information. Do you see any extra information? I don't really see anything. We're circling and boxing and underlining almost every sentence in here, so there really isn't anything extra, so we can go straight to solve our work. So our question is going to be, what's it going to be? 55 minus 24. So 55 is our minuend, 24 is our subtrahend, which means we're taking that away from 55. Again, we're going to use the break apart method. So I'm going to break apart 24. What am I going to break apart 24 into? 20 and 4. So of course we're going to subtract the tens first. So we're going to subtract 55 minus 20. 20 is 2 tens, so that's 2 jumps. We go from 55 to 45 to 35. That's right. So we've subtracted our 20. Now it's time to subtract our 4. And as always, we start where we left off. We left off on 35, so we're going to subtract 35 minus 4. So 35 minus 4, we just count backwards 4 times. 34, 30. What'd you get? 31 is what I hope you got. So we can go back and we look. We subtracted our 20. We subtracted our 4. We ended up at 31, which means that 55 minus 24 is 31. Is this getting easier, guys? I hope so. Thanks for sticking with me. You're making math a little bit easier just by showing up and paying attention. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.